Yo, what's up, boys? Dan from DNR Sports here. We're back from vacation and we're ready to grind out some more content. Today, we got the rankings from DraftKings for our NFL best ball receivers. Let's remember best ball, meaning you get 20 picks in this draft. And after that, you don't change anything throughout the season. The computer puts your best players in for you. And if you make it to the end, which is, I think, week 14, and you're in first or second place in your group of 12 teams, you advance. It's like a tournament, kind of like I'm sure you guys have played DFS and DraftKings before. It's kind of like that. But these are the current top receivers in order for them. But I strongly disagree. And today I'll be giving you my top 6 receivers in order with my personal projections based on what they've done in years past, what things are looking like this year, taking into account certain situations that have changed or have gotten better or whatnot. Let's just get straight into it. So my number 1 receiver, who happens to be the number 3 receiver here, is Davante Adams. Now I'll have a slight refresher of what he did last year. 26.5 points per game. Yes, this includes playoffs. That's why you see 1,500 yards and 20 touchdowns. He only had 18 touchdowns and 1,374, I believe, yards in the regular season. But let's just look at these targets. Holy shit. Injured this week. And every other week. Just nuts. He had 1 week under 10. 1 week under 10. Sorry. 3 weeks, but there were 9s. He's just a fucking stud. We all know Davante is the best receiver in the league right now. The problem comes about when we talk about Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron's staying. I think it's pretty clear now he's not going to Denver. Like, he's just doing a little, whatever in OTAs. He doesn't want to practice. He wants to send a message, but he's not going to sit out. It's $35 million he'd be losing. I know he doesn't need the money, but Aaron wants to play. Aaron wants to win a Super Bowl. He knows he has the team to do it. I'm a Packers fan. I feel like I have one of the best, feelings of this. I know Aaron from, just experiencing how he talks, the Pat McAfee show and shit like that. And just, you could just tell he's a good guy and he's not going to just fuck over his teammates like that. If we look at previous years for Davante Adams, his highest yardage total was almost 1,400 yards. He didn't even eclipse 1,400 yards. Touchdowns, though, are where he shines. He had 18 last year, 13 this year, 10 this year, 12 in 2016. We know whether it's Jordy Nelson or Davante Adams, whoever Aaron Rodgers' number 1 is, will always have over 10 touchdowns. That is just a fact. It's been for the last 10 years, the number 1 has always had it. Last year, he actually played 13 games, because as I showed before, this Detroit game, let's go look at the Detroit game. He was injured in the first half, 3 for 36. We're going to exclude that game. And my projections for him going forward for this year are 135 receptions, 1,549 yards, and 15 touchdowns for a grand total of 379.9 fantasy points. Obviously, those are absurd numbers. I believe when I did the averaging, that was about 23.4 points per game, which isn't even that crazy considering you got 26.5 last season. But why, if you project three more games, right? Why isn't it easy for him to get to 135? Why can't he get to 1,500 yards? I said a little bit of regression in the touchdown department just because 18 is pretty absurd. If you do actual projections, he would be at 22 or something. But I'm gonna say he has a little bit of regression in that department just because that's just unheard of. But I do think yardage and receptions stays on pace, right? There's no reason to say those change. My number 2 receiver. So their number 2 receiver is Diggs. My number 2 receiver overall, you guys, this one's going to be my most controversial pick yet. Let's bring him on up. Ready for this? Yeah. It's Michael Thomas, boys. I know everyone loves to hate on Slant Boy. But let's look at this objectively, boys. Michael Thomas, rookie year, 1,137 yards. Sophomore year, 1,245 yards. Junior year, 1,405 yards. Senior year, 1,725 yards. Last year, he was injured. He only played in 7 games. A couple of those 7, he was actually injured. As you see, games started only 5. And he was playing with a messed up ankle that he had to have surgery on at the end of the offseason. And he had Taysom Hill for all those games. He missed all of the Drew Brees time. He literally didn't play with Drew Brees at all. Taysom Hill, we know, not a touchdown thrower. We know that. That's why he had 0 TDs. I am fully aware, guys. But with Jameis coming in, let's all just look back at Tampa Bay from, I believe it was 2, 3 years ago, whatever it was. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans were both wide receiver ones. Let's go look at that year. Ready? Now let's look at Chris Godwin, what he was able to do with Jameis Winston. He had in 14 games, 121 targets, 86 receptions, 1,333 yards, 9 touchdowns. Mike Evans, same year, only played in 13 games, 118 targets, 67 receptions, 1,157 yards, 8 TDs. Jameis Winston housed 2 wide receiver ones at the same time. Who is competing with Michael Thomas? Adam Troutman? No. Alvin Kamara is his biggest competition. Troy Khan doesn't mean shit. Like, all of them don't mean shit. My projections for Michael Thomas are the following. I have him at 134 receptions, one less than Devontae. 1,602 receiving yards. Yes, I have him leading the league. And 8 touchdowns. I do not think he has near the touchdown upside as Devontae, which is why Devontae's number 1. Because I do think Taysom and I do think Kamara will steal a lot of goal line and 10 zone and red zone touches. I do believe Michael Thomas will have a much higher ADOT than he's ever had in his career, which is why I think his yards are going to be so astronomical this year. I think Jameis is one of those guys who just fuck it and throw it, you know? And let's not, guys, the Saints are getting so shat on right now. They're such a good team. That offensive line is as strong as ever. That defense, probably top 5 midway through the season. They always tend to start off slow, but by the end, they're one of the best defenses in the league. Strength of schedule is not even that hard. In their division, they get Atlanta twice and the Panthers twice. Every single one of those games is going to be 100 yards and a TD, I think. Tampa's the only struggle, but on a healthy foot, 2 years ago, Michael was roasting Tampa. I know it's a different team, but Michael Thomas is a different breed. He's a good route runner. We all have to admit that. Like, we can't just consider him only slant boy when it's Jameis under center. We know it's going to be some deep routes, and I know Michael Thomas is a top 5 route runner in this league. Next up, let's go look at DraftKings ADP. It would normally be Davante Adams, but we already used him. So my number 3 receiver is Stefon Diggs. So bringing up Stefon Diggs right now, we see that when he went over to the Bills, nothing fell off at all. It only increased. 1,535 yards, 127 receptions in 15 games started, 16 games played. He led the league in targets with 166. That is some alpha type shit. There's the A.G. Browns out there. They only get like 110 targets. He got 166. 8 touchdowns, obviously very good. When I'm looking at the situation, it's his first year on a new team. Receivers aren't supposed to do that their first year on a new team. Same with D-Hop. He did the same thing. That's unheard of in the NFL. Like, when you switch teams, you're supposed to have that learning curve. He just didn't have it. What's switching next year? They got Emmanuel Sanders. They lost John Brown. I think Gabriel Davis will probably take a little step up because of John Brown. And then Cole Beasley might retire just because of that COVID thing. Apparently, he was saying, like, you know, he has all the money he needs now if they're forcing him to get the shot and if they're treating him differently, like the vaccine, then he doesn't want to play. So if they lose him, it's pretty much Manny Sanders and Gabriel Davis. And even if they have Beasley, it doesn't matter. Diggs is the alpha number 1 here, and Josh Allen loves to chuck it deep. And Diggs and Gabriel are the deep threats. There's just nothing you see very different here. My projections for Stefon are very similar to this past year. I have 124 receptions. So what's that compared to last year? I have him, just about the same. I have a slight decrease in receiving yards, 1,464, and 8 total touchdowns. So Devontae had 380 points total. Michael Thomas had 342.2 total. And Stefon Diggs has 318.4 total. So pretty significantly worse than Adams, but almost there with Thomas. I just one of those things where you don't see much changing really with the Bills at all. And I think it'll just be second year in a system. Things are supposed to go up from there, but I don't know how much you can go up from 1,500 yards. You know, that's why I'm just kind of keeping this the same. Number 4, going back to DraftKings, is D-Hop, and guess what? That's what we have, DeAndre Hopkins. Looking at DeAndre Hopkins' previous career stats, when I think of DeAndre Hopkins, I think of a go-up-and-get-it touchdown guy. That's just not him, apparently. Like, he is a yardage monster. 1,200 yards, 1,500 yards, 1,400 yards, almost 1,600 yards here. 1,200, 1,400. Like, My man is a beast with the yards. His first year with the Cardinals, I think he was second in the league with targets at 160. He had 115 receptions, 1407 yards, and only 6 touchdowns. That's why I have him at my number 4 spot. I have him at 118 receptions. Very hefty number. 1,484 yards. I think he just slightly improves in that number. And then 8 touchdowns. I think he has a little bit of an increase in the touchdown department. I wouldn't be mad at you if you took him over Stefon Diggs. I have him projected exactly 4 points under Stefon Diggs for season long. If you think one is more injury prone than the other, or one is just a safer bet, take that guy. There's not too much of a difference here. This is where the tiers start to get really close. It's Devontae, Michael Thomas, and then everyone else kind of evens out in here. You know Hopkins is going to be on the field. Let's check it. Let's check his injury status over there. 16 games, 15 games, 16, 15, 16, 16, 16. Like he doesn't get injured. This man is on the field. I honestly, if you take him as the wide receiver 3, no harm done. Like you know he's going to get it done for you. My only issue for DeAndre, why I can't put him like significantly higher than Diggs, is that touchdown department, because Kyler Murray runs way too many touchdowns in, right? He just kind of, when he's in the 20, when he's in the red zone, he just looks up and goes, oh, I can just beat everybody, and then just runs past them. So that's my only issue. He's not a pocket passer, so he's not going to always look for D-Hop in his strength zone, which is the red zone. But besides that, we will be moving on to the wide receiver 5, who, according to Underdog, is Calvin Ridley. Well, sorry, Underdog. Why do I keep saying Underdog? DraftKings. I'm so used to hearing everybody say Underdog. DraftKings, boys. My receiver 5 is also Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, I have projected for 107 receptions, 1,427 yards, and 10 touchdowns. For a grand total of 309.7 points. That's about 5 less than DeAndre Hopkins. Now, looking at Calvin Ridley stats previous years, right? He's only been in the league a couple years. But we can what can we take from it? TDs, he gets those. He's the TD guy on that team. What can we also get? He broke out last year. He went from 800 yards to almost 1,400 yards with 143 targets. I think without Julio Jones there, yes, they have Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is not Julio Jones. Calvin Ridley will be getting near 160 targets, right? That's why I have him at 108 or 107 receptions, just because with 17 more targets, I think he gets almost 100% of those, right? I think he gets near that mark. And then with the yards, I think he just increases a little bit with that extra target share, you know? TDs, I had him about the same item at 10. The way I view this offense is I can't put Calvin high. I had Calvin originally at number 3, but I can't quite say that just because the offense itself is not as potent as the Bills or the Cardinals. This offense is going to solely rely on Ridley. And that's nice for fantasy. You don't want other players like stealing targets, but there's a point to it, like the Packers. It's still a great offense just going through Devontae. This is a meh to bad offense going through Ridley. That means a lot of 3-and-outs, a lot of drives that don't end in touchdowns that could potentially be Ridley's, a lot of yards left on the table, to be honest. That's why I can't put him over Diggs or Hopkins. Now, to wrap this video up, my number 6 receiver. I know, you guys are like, let me go on a little rant here. You guys are like, where the is Tyreek Hill? He's not even at number 6. He's not even number 6, guys. Tyreek Hill, I'm going to leave this off for the next episode, right? Because he'll be in the next one. He's not top 6, okay? This is highest yardage total ever. This was Patrick Mahomes' MVP season. This is last season. He had 15 TDs, couldn't break 1,300 yards. I'm not going to talk too much more into it. I'll talk about it next episode. But Justin Jefferson, I think, has the upside to be top 6. In his first year, in only 125 targets, we were looking at Ridley with 143, Diggs with 166, Hopkins with 160, Devontae with some crazy pace targets. Like, my man only had 125. That's some alpha numbers, but only 125. Imagine he got 160. Imagine he didn't sit the bench those first 2 games and not play that much. 88 receptions, 1,400 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson, already from his rookie year, in my opinion, is a top 5 route runner. It's Devontae. This isn't in any order. Devontae, Keenan, AB, Amari, Jefferson, and I think I'm forgetting one. Probably Diggs and Ridley are in there, and Michael Thomas. So he's somewhere in there. He's in that top tier, right? Obviously Julio too, but Julio's just getting older. So Justin Jefferson, like, what do you even go? Where do you even go from here? How can you project something that like is just it's so good already? How do you go up from here? My projections are 108 receptions, 1,427 yards, and 8.5 TDs for a grand total of 301.7 points. That is exactly 8 behind Calvin Ridley. I think my reasoning for it is they are about the same type of offense. The Vikings are a slightly better offense, in my opinion, overall, more well rounded. But there's a price to pay with that. Adam Thielen's a great receiver contesting him. Adam Thielen gets all the touchdowns. I think that'll slightly avert. That's why I gave him 1.5 more touchdowns, Justin Jefferson, that is. But I also think having Dalvin Cook there, vulturing all the goal line stuff, is an issue. It's a serious issue, and we're going to have to talk about that. There's no Mike Davis vulturing going on in Atlanta, right? Like, he's all right, but he's not Dalvin Cook. Like, they're trying to get Dalvin Cook 30 touches a game. Atlanta is a pass heavy. It's actually the most pass heavy offense in the league. Vikings are on the exact opposite end. They want to run the ball over 50% of the time, whereas the Falcons want to pass the ball 60% or more. That's going to end it, boys. That's my top 5 receivers. So once again, in order, it's Devontae number 1. I'm not scared of the Aaron Rodgers hype. I am taking that ADP. I've gotten him at 18th overall in some drafts. Some drafts I go Saquon and then him, or Alvin Kamara and then him. It's beautiful. I'm loving it. Take advantage of that. Same with Aaron Rodgers. Take advantage of him in the hundreds. He's in the pick hundreds. Michael Thomas. Take advantage of that. Nobody knows what's happening with the Saints. It's not that hard, guys. He's the alpha. Kamara's not going to fall off. That offense is going to be insane. He's going to get all the targets. And Jameis is a fuck it and chuck it guy. Like, he does not care. He will give Thomas. Would you guys honestly be surprised if he gave Michael Thomas 170 to 180 targets? Would that really shock you if by week 4 we're like, oh my God, Michael Thomas, how do we not see him getting 100 yards and a touchdown every single week? Like, this was so obvious. He did it 2 years ago. Why did we forget about the injury last year? Why did we not take that in consideration? You know what I mean? There's a lot of variables that just like are pointing in a good direction for him. Number 3, Stefon Diggs. Not too much changing. That's why I don't have him going down or up. I have him at the wide receiver 3. Deandre Hopkins, same type of thing. I think I'll see a slight progression being that it's his second year in that Cardinal system, but I am still scared of that Kyler Murray boy taking all those goal line touches. I'm scared of that. So he's at my number 4. Got Calvin Ridley, number 5. Once again, great pass happy offense. They want to chuck it. They just suck at it. So he will not be getting that crazy upside that Devontae and Michael Thomas have, but he fits in at 5. And then Justin Jefferson at number 6, the best rookie receiver ever, will be entering his sophomore season. And we all know about rookie to sophomore jumps. If he has one of those, oh man, this league is in trouble. As a Packers fan, I'm in trouble. If he has one of those insane jumps, I kept it as he has a slight jump, just from some regression standpoints in the TD category. But man, if he takes that second jump and Adam Thielen starts to get phased out, and maybe they even tell Dalvin, hey, we're going to start passing more, I don't know, man. I do not know. So that is my top 6 receivers. Guys, if you liked it, please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this. Like the video. We love to see the likes on these videos. That gets the traction. That gets it out there onto people's YouTube, whatever banner, whatever thing, the homepage where people click on it, it gets it on there if you like it. So please do that. Subscribe if you're new. At 137 subs now. I'm loving it, boys. Getting right into the heart of fantasy season. Let me know if you guys want to see some live best ball drafts. I feel like I'd be able to talk a little more candidly during these best ball drafts and explain my strategies. I'm going to be coming out with some videos on that probably the next couple days. I really have been enjoying best ball drafts. I think there's some major flaws in how people are drafting. I think there's a lot of free money to be won, to be honest. But if that's it, boys. I'll be seeing you in the next one, all right? Peace.
Never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right.